Welcome to this very special broadcast. I'm Anand Narasimhan, and what we're bringing to you today is a brilliant concept brought to you by Puma. It's the Puma School of Speed. Does your school have the fastest children in India? That's the question, that's the search, that's the hunt. 3 cities, Mumbai, Bangalore and Delhi to start with, but the entries are flooding, and we've got a very special guest with us today. The lady in the middle, we all know, Chitrangada Singh, along with being an actress, and you're also training in skeet, so an athlete, if we can call her. She's also been associated with Puma. And then there's Girish Malaya. I've got to talk to you about him. But first up, the MD of MD India of Puma, Rajiv Mehta. First up, why School of Speed?
So you want to catch the kids when they are young, before they grow up and before they forget what physical fitness is all about. If you see kids today, they spend a lot more time watching television, staring into their iPad screens, and very few kids actually enjoy running outdoors or even playing football or doing anything to do with sport. So we said, Puma as a brand should bring that culture back to the schools. So what better than to target them just when they are getting their physical fitness together, when they're at a time where they can take it a little bit more seriously. So that's how the concept of School of Speed came about.
And they are all people who walk the talk. We got to tell our viewers very clearly, and we show you how and why. Before I get to Chitrangada, I'm going to go across to Girish Malaya. He has done the marathon.
He runs the talk. He doesn't just walk it.
Yeah,
he runs
the talk.
He runs the talk.
He's one person who's done 251 kilometers in 6 days across the Sahara at an average temperature of 50 degrees. He's just done the Bombay Marathon along with Rajiv. He ran the full marathon. Rajiv ran the half. We talk about all of that. But tell us, how important is running? Have you always been running?
So running is something which has come.
Did it come from the time you started? You ran away from school or ran away from the classes?
So I've been running like 3 to 5 kilometers, last 20 odd years. But just before the first Bombay Marathon, that's when I said, this sounds challenging, and I registered for the first full marathon. And since then, it's been marathons, ultra marathons, multi-stage ultra marathons, and now I'm looking at triathlons. So it's been a constant progression.
Looking at you, it's hard to believe you had a 12-kilo backpack on you, or while you're running out through the Sahara.
Yeah.
So is it more about grit as much as
I'd say about 70% would be mental and 30% physical. To give you some context, the average age of runners who did the MDS Marathon des Sables is about 45. So ages, and there are people who are blind who can do this. There are people who are with blade runners. So disability does not, the rules are the same for everybody.
Correct.
So man, woman, any age, anything, everybody, same rules, same climate, and you just go there and do it.
The fact is, it's wow that the average age is 45, Chitrangada, but it's again saddening, isn't it? You would want to see a lot of youngsters. So that also reflects as to why School of Speed and the reason why people need to get out and run, because not too many people are doing it today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think even it's not so much of a generation gap, but if I see younger kids nowadays, they're all just sitting at home. All they're discussing is who has how many games on their iPads and stuff like that, and it's not about how many sports have you played. I remember in my school days it was about this guy is probably playing so many sports and he's the sports person of the year. It was a very important thing in school, that who's probably dived the highest and jumped the highest. And so even the conversations have changed. So there's definitely a huge shift in priorities as to what you do for
being
free time.
interested in physical training and keeping yourself physical. Is it a necessity for you because of your profession or because it's your passion? Because you've also trained in martial arts, isn't it?
Not martial arts, just kickboxing is what I do, just for fitness,
Okay.
But my father was in the army, and I think just growing up, even with my brother, everybody, it was such a done thing that you have to learn a sport. You either had to go swimming. Everybody has to know how to swim. You have to know cycling. You have to cycle to school. So it wasn't like cars were going and dropping us or anything like that. So I think it was not even conscious. It just happened. It was part of your life. that everybody around us are everybody's going swimming in the evening, everybody's going for sports in the evening. It was just something that we did, you know, it was normal.
Sport was a way of life.
It was just a way of life.
It was also a way to break out.
It was not even an effort. It was where you met people. It was a cool hangout place.
Exactly.
The basketball court. Yeah. Or
now
the
if you
swimming
go to a pool, it's 50% of kids are overweight, you know. And it's really
they float.
And
they don't swim.
it's really saddening, and you wonder what's happened. As in, I think it's just been last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's just especially urban kids. You know, I was attending a seminar with kids. You know, where kids from rural areas and urban areas were there, and talking to them and motivating.
There's so much of a
huge
difference. Huge difference.
As in the rural kids, Champaran and other regions, they were like young, fit, more
wiry, and they run
whereas our
fast
Bangalore, Bombay kids are, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Flabby. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Overweight, and how many of us today don't think twice before running to catch that bus or to catch the train? You know, all that running that we did as kids allows us to get onto the train, get on board the train, and get off the bus, isn't it? But coming back to the program, and on a serious note, why running? And like I said, he's run the half marathon, so you do walk the talk. That fact is, you need to run. But why running? And do you think it's going to be difficult to find kids who love to run? And do you think, as a matter of this program, you're going to get kids to enjoy the process of running or enjoy running per se?
So, you know, as a personal example, two things that come to my mind. One is that I never ran before. I was like 3 years back is when I started running, and I was definitely overweight. And the amount of energy that I have now that I run, the amount of mental agility that it brought, the whole day you're never tired. You know, in the end of the day, you go back and I still have energy to talk to my 2-year-old and run behind him. Whereas a lot of people now who are not into physical fitness, any form, just get tired. Also, running is in your nature. I see my 2-year-old run all the time, and it's you know, sometimes tiring to constantly run behind him. So when you say that, you know, kids, you know, well, they take to running, I think it's second nature for people to run. And I think somewhere we've just forgotten in the entire competitiveness that, you know, my school is better, there's international school, there's this program, that program. And I think they've forgotten about sports, how important it is for you to perform better in academics. And I think that's what we want to get back in life.
I don't know how many times parents actually go and check what the school grounds are like.
Yeah, exactly.
You check what are your, you know, other activities. Do you travel abroad for this and that, and exchange programs? I think that's far, you know, bigger priorities for people than checking what the school grounds are. I mean, as basic as that, you know.
Because unless the parents themselves thinking that, you know, where's my kid going to run? Where is he going to play?
I think it's so
they're not going to watch out or look out for that. Let's ask the man who's actually using and, you know, doing the stuff. He's working with Puma, so I can't ask him that because he'd say, "Oh, my products are great." But I'm going to ask Girish. The reason is the Puma School of Speed. The task is not easy. They want the kids to run it's a relay race. You're going to run. Each kid is going to run at least 1 kilometer, and it's 4-kilometer run. That's how it is, isn't it? How much of an impact do good performance shoes have, or, you know, in terms of bearing, in terms of your performance, and in terms of you being able to do that?
So personally, what I believe, especially when you're doing longer distances, is to rotate your shoes. So ideally, I go with a 2-shoe combination. So I use the Fast 500 V2 and the Fast 900. So the higher the number, the higher is the cushioning. So when I'm doing a full marathon, like the Bombay Marathon, it was Fast 900 because I needed more cushioning. We're running on concrete, hammering. And plus, if you have cramps, you need something to compensate, because if you're running barefoot or something and your legs are tired, you actually hit your heel. So it really, you know, we're not designed to do ultra distances as human beings. So, you know, that sort of helps. But if I want to do a faster run, I prefer lesser cushioning, you know, direct contact with the floor.
Shoes that are lighter. But then you can feel
lighter,
the grip,
more supple,
you can feel the grip, but then you don't feel the impact as much.
Yeah.
Great.
So that works better. So younger kids actually have better, their, you know, legs are not pampered like our legs are, bearing you know, the weight and all the other things that go with it, our lifestyle especially. So the younger kids actually can do with, you know, your lesser cushioning shoes, doing a lot better for them. Plus it's lighter, so, you know, that also helps.
So you think these guys make good shoes?
Yeah. Personally, I've used them, so I definitely would go for those shoes, and I like what they're doing.
Yeah, and this is from a man who's also training for the Ironman coming up in 2014, isn't it? So that's also going to be a grueling
that's going to be a different grueling.
You agree with this? That feeling of breaking free and
Yeah.
leaving everything behind and just being one with yourself, does that happen?
Definitely. I think it's probably a sort of, I mean, I know of people, I haven't done that much of running, but I think a lot of people say that, it's almost meditation when you're doing marathon, because you're so focused and you're constantly talking to yourself, trying to motivate yourself. So there is so much of self-conversation, talk, your levels of breaking your own limits, and it's a damn interesting process. I mean, I've also sort of done something like that, but probably not at the levels that they probably are doing.
Tell us, what have you done?
What have I done? See, I mean, for fitness, I guess I have done running. I have run about 7 kilometers. There was a time when I was doing 7 kilometers every day. But just out of, the fact that I started enjoying it. It was fitness as first, I mean, in the beginning. But then I started enjoying the whole process. Or when you're swimming and you have to finish that length. You have to finish that length because you want to do those 25 that day. Right. So just any time when you're trying to push yourself, physically, I think you mentally get so involved, and it definitely does something to you,
You tend to feel like, aaj nahi karte hain, I got this niggle here, I don't want to do it, so I'll do it there, that pain there. So how, getting out of bed is a big challenge in the first place. But, when you're running, there are times when you want to stop. Right, I'll get to these guys in there, but I'm asking you, when you did 7 kilometers at about 3-4, did you want to stop? How did it push you?
You start thinking of your breathing sometimes. I've done that. Sometimes music really helped. I would always put that one track that I really run fast on or get my rhythm on right at the end when I want to finish that bit. Or, or you keep saying, okay, till the next post or till the next tree or something like that, you keep putting in your mind, and, you keep pushing yourself. Sometimes just looking at your feet when you're running, that helps. I mean, I don't know, just keep one foot in front of the other.
Think of the person you want to kick in the shins and there he is.
No, it'll help if there's a good looking guy you're trying to catch, but that doesn't happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's different, the mindset of kids. When you're talking about a school program, you're talking about young kids, their motivation is different, isn't it? Girish, isn't it different?
Yeah, so
they will, like a lot of us do it because we need to keep fit. We want to, as we grow older, we want to stay younger. A lot of people get onto that because the doctor has said, unless you try and shed off a few pounds or you start running, I mean, you will not run enough. So the motivation is different. But for kids, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes more naturally to them. It's a lot easier for them in that sense. Also, distances. If you tell a kid to do 5 kilometers, even though he's fit enough, he can't really do it because for him, the pace at which he starts is very high. He doesn't think rationally. Like we try to rationalize, I need to keep up a certain pace so that, I don't breathe too much, too hard, my heart rate doesn't go up. The kid is not really bothered. And he's lost all his inhibition. So 1 kilometer, I think, works beautifully for kids. Yeah. And once they get hooked to it and, you get into the habit, you make it cool. Especially if parents were to be into fitness and leading by example. I think that really works. I think that is the next change you'll see.
So we're going to take a very short break. On the other side, we're going to ask them if they've called their respective schools and said, send in your kids into the Puma School of Speed. And we'll also talk about the one man who's made running phenomenally stylish and to do. Usain Bolt. Stay with us.